What's going on, YouTube? Americans love SUVs, and that's evident in the sales figures of so many different products. But two words that typically can't be said in the same sentence is affordable SUV. GM set out to change that with the introduction of the all-new 2024 Chevy Trax and Buick Envista. These two are promising well under $30,000 price tags loaded, and deliver all the equipment and style people crave. But it begs the question, who does it better, the Trax or the Envista? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Like we said at the introduction, an important piece of these two is the affordable price tags that come along with them, so that's where we're going to start. Beginning with the Chevy, we have every option, and we still come in at a very affordable $26,500 with destination. Next up, for the new Buick Envista, we opted for the stylish and well-equipped Sport Touring trim level. This trim starts at a very similar $24,100, and once you factor in destination and a few more options, it comes in at a little over $29,000. By the way, if you're interested in buying either of these two, head over to carconfections.com/newcarquotes, which will help you find the best price in your local area as well as show you invoice pricing. A link is in the description if you want to find out more. Now, as far as this comparison, it will be conducted objectively. We've done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, but at the end of the comparison, we will sum up with our thoughts and revisit that price difference for a value assessment. But for now, let's get into it. So now that we've established these two are truly affordable SUVs, let's dive into the styling. Style was a focus of these two, and you certainly wouldn't guess their price by looking at them. The Chevy has a premium grille with smoked chrome on the inside, and the Buick looks like no other Buick before it, with a large and aggressive grille. They both also have bold paint colors. And that takes us to the headlights, where they nicely include full LED projector lighting as standard. Buick goes another step beyond by adding an LED turn signal, and neither of them have fog lamps. Checking out the side profiles, the Trax has grown by a whopping 11 inches this year, but somehow the Buick is still about 4 inches longer. We will see how that translates to interior space later. But, for now, the wheels come in at 19 inches and have attractive designs on both. The only thing point-worthy is mentioning that the Buick has piano black trim around the wheel arches instead of a less premium matte black. Around back, the designs continue to look quite different for vehicles that share the same platform. We won't be awarding points based on styling, but as far as differences, only the Trax includes a rear wiper, and only the Buick has an LED accented taillight. Neither of them are recommended to tow. Now heading on to some of the other features. The mirrors include both heating and blind spot monitoring, and only the Buick has a turn signal indicator built in. Safety systems don't stop there though, as both models are equipped with adaptive cruise control, auto high beam headlights, lane keeping assist, and forward emergency braking. They both also have identical warranties and one free complimentary maintenance visit. Alright, so that's it for the distinct exteriors. So now let's dive into what you get for that price on the inside. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
So walking up to the cars, both models have smart entry systems and remote start built into the fobs. Once we open up the doors, you'll begin to see that these two cabins have a much more premium design than you'd expect. Before we dive into all the individual features and amenities, let's talk about the seats. They are both finished in black leatherette, and we have nice stitching and piping details finished in blue and red respectively. As far as adjustability, only the Buick has an 8-way power seat, but both models have heating for those of you who live in a colder climate. Now once fully inside, we can begin to talk about the major area of cabin materials. Now, as you'd expect, neither of these two will have you thinking you're in a Mercedes. But the Buick does elevate materials a bit over the Trax. It's using a padded armrest for the door trim and softer materials throughout the dashboard for a more premium overall feel. But once you fire these two up, you'll see one of the most impressive things Buick and Chevy are offering. They both come with 8-inch digital gauge clusters, which is surprisingly premium for the price point. And then pulling back, both are also including leather-wrapped steering wheels that are surprisingly heated as well. In addition, the Buick also includes rain-sensing wipers. Okay, so the next major thing to talk about is interior storage. Since these two are heavily related to each other, they have nearly the same storage solutions, and neither takes the lead in this regard. Phones will stay charged on both since they have wireless charging pads. I'm sure many of our viewers will appreciate that they have traditional shifters, and when reversed, both have high-resolution backup cameras with active trajectory. Next up is climate, where both have single-zone automatic setups with simple and easy-to-use controls. And speaking of controls, let's talk about audio. Both are rocking a standard 6-speaker sound system that has better quality than you'd expect. Just be aware that there are no upgraded sound systems offered. Now it's time to dive into the main infotainment displays. As you can tell, Buick and Chevy are targeting a young clientele because both models come with a surprising amount of technology. In these trims, both have 11-inch high-resolution displays with the most up-to-date Android-based software. Additionally, both have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto abilities, which makes up for the fact that neither of them have built-in navigation. And finally, both have manual dimming mirrors and standard-sized sunroofs. While subcompact, these are still SUVs at the end of the day, so let's see how much room you have. Both have identical legroom figures in the back that are spacious for the segment, and headroom figures are about 2% less in the Envista due to the sloping roofline. However, that is not a big enough difference to score a point. Taking a look at the features back here, they are going to be rather sparse, with no USB ports, vents, or armrests. More importantly though, let's move on to the cargo areas. Before we get in, only the Envista offers a power tailgate. And this is where the Envista's more stylish sloping roof starts to really cost you over the Trax. You sacrifice about 5 cubic feet behind the second row, and with the seats folded, you're looking at a large 25% difference in favor of the Trax. Alrighty, now we're done with the interiors, so let's see who takes the lead out on the streets. While they have very distinctly different styling on the outside, the parts you can't see is where these two are pretty much identical. For the engine, they both have the same 1.2-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, making 137 horsepower. While some of you may have reservations about a 3-cylinder, in our testing, we found it to be a very torque-rich engine that feels faster than the figures suggest.
Okay, so we have of course been driving this for a little while to get some first impressions, and I think when you put your foot down, you're gonna really be impressed.
Yeah.
Now, if you've spent any time in vehicles in this segment, you know that they're really known for just being incredibly slow, right? It's pretty much the slowest variety of vehicle that you can buy. But this new turbocharged 3-cylinder has some unique advantages over most of the competition. So let's start out by talking about the power figures. 137 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque. In particular, that torque figure is impressive. So that's going to be more than most of the competition. Alright, so we made it up to 60 miles per hour. That was a full throttle acceleration.
That is quite a lot of torque for a subcompact crossover like this, and it really pushes you back in your seat. So you may hear 3-cylinder and be like, oh my goodness, it's going to be the most underpowered thing ever. We've been in a lot of these turbo 3-cylinders at this point. The Trax, the Encore GX, all of those models have had this. Trailblazer. And it really gets a thumbs up from us.
The transmissions are also the same, with a traditional 6-speed automatic on both. Performance is good, but one thing to consider is that neither the Envista or Trax can get all-wheel drive. That's a very important point, and it's also why Chevy and Buick offer a Trailblazer and Encore GX in their lineups respectively. But for those of you who just want the Trax or Envista, you will be stuck with front-wheel drive exclusively.
First of all, we have a 6-speed automatic transmission.
Yep.
That's kind of an interesting thing because in this segment, pretty much everybody is using a continuously variable transmission. Interestingly enough, even the related Chevy Trailblazer, that is also using a CVT. So, this is actually a really good transmission. The thing that might be a big deal to some people, though, is the fact that this is available in only front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind when you're making your selection. A lot of you guys, if in the inclement weather, especially with snow and stuff up north, you might want to have that all-wheel drive system.
Moving past that, we found both ride qualities to be nice and smooth. But the Buick does ride a bit better with its Watts Link suspension that is optional on this ST model.
And I do also want to just go ahead and talk about your ride quality for the Envista. Now, we've lived with this vehicle for the last 7 days, and like Drew said, we've actually sampled out quite a few different vehicles that you might be considering if you're looking at an Envista as well. And I have to say the ride quality is really good, especially if you choose what we have with us today. So we actually do have a special suspension setup. We have a Watts Link suspension. This is an optional feature on the ST trim level of the Envista, or it is standard on the Avenir trim level. And I will say, I think you can actually feel a little bit of a difference when it comes to that suspension setup. It seems more premium and more refined than something like a Chevy Trax, so do keep that in mind. If you want a little bit better ride quality, I think you're going to get it here in the Envista with the optional suspension setup.
Let's talk about noise entering the cabin. The Trax did test higher in our sample, but unfortunately, due to the media drive location, we cannot score it since it was tested on a rougher road surface. Stay tuned to the channel when we get an official sound level reading in Kentucky like the Envista.
So we went ahead and adjusted to be fan speed 1. 59.6 decibels is our official sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. Before we started slowing down, we were sitting at 61 decibels even.
Finally, as far as fuel economy, both get the same 30 mpg combined, and hybrids are not offered. Now, last but not least, we need to return to the $2,530 price advantage that the Trax has. Because of its below $35,000 average price point, it'll be awarded an additional 2.5 points.
Alright, so we have reached the end of this comparison. Now, obviously, these two siblings are pretty similar in a lot of ways, but let's talk about who should be your winner based on your specific needs. So the Trax should be your winner if you're looking for the maximum space. It is going to be larger due to its more conventional SUV design. You also have a more affordable price tag, of course, and again, the SUV-like shape gives you a more conventional look if that's something you prefer.
Now, the Envista, on the other hand, should be your choice if you like that stylish coupe-like design. Certainly, that's a very uncommon thing to find in an affordable SUV, so if you like that look, you will certainly like the Envista. It also has more available features like a power tailgate, a special tuned suspension for the ST with an option package, and it also comes from a little bit of a more premium brand. Buick has a little bit more of an upscale image than Chevy, and you might have a better dealership experience. But we want to know your thoughts down below. Are you taking the new Envista or are you taking the new Chevy Trax? Comment your thoughts and let us know what you're thinking. Now, if you're looking to buy either of these products, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, why you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. A link to that is provided in our video description. Now, if you're already in our family, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you're not already, we would encourage you to hop in by hitting that subscribe button down below. Not only does it help us to make better content by you subscribing, it also gives you access to a ton of cool videos that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. And that's going to be where we leave off. So we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.